Today, it looks like Windows 10 could have gotten a temporary new lease on life past its upcoming end of support. Intel may soon come to the rescue in the convoluted and kind of ridiculous GPU market. And Nintendo is proving once again that they hate their customers and they really don't care what you think. So, let's get into it. Now, as many of you guys know, Windows 10 loses support on October 14th, 2025. However, we now officially have word from Microsoft themselves that support will be extended for Windows 10 under the Microsoft ESU program. Thank you for those of you who pointed this out to me in the last news video and made me aware that the announcement had been made regarding ESU. The Windows 10 Extended Security Updates ESU program launched by Microsoft enables users to receive critical and important security updates for Windows 10 devices beyond the end of support date. Available for up to 3 years, the ESU program targets organizations and individuals needing additional time to transition to Windows 11, or not transition to Windows 11. For businesses, ESU licenses are $61 per device for the first year and double each year, totaling 3 years total, while consumers can purchase a 1-year option for $30. There's no word yet on whether consumers will be able to purchase additional years. I'm just happy that Microsoft is making ESU an option for consumers. This will be the first time that the ESU program will cover consumer desktop computers. The program does not include new features, nor non-security fixes, or even technical support for that matter. It will be focusing solely on security patches for Windows 10 version 22H2. In addition, Microsoft has also extended support for Office 365 on Windows 10 until 2028. Extended support will include security updates for Office 365 on Windows 10 systems that are enrolled in the ESU program. Microsoft's 365 support on Windows 10 without the ESU is limited, with troubleshooting assistance offered, but no guarantee of workarounds or bug fixes. Essentially, outside of the ESU program, you're pretty much on your own. But weren't we that way to begin with? I guess so. The ESU program will provide a temporary extension to the life of Windows 10, but unfortunately, its days are still numbered. Microsoft ultimately wants people transitioning to Windows 11. Reliance on Windows 10 while currently on life support in the long term is less viable. I have to say though, I'm happy about this news. I've lived through several versions of Windows losing support. Each time it happens, there's countless people complaining that their favorite version of Windows should have support extended indefinitely. Unfortunately, that's just not realistic. The amount of resources that Microsoft would have to put towards supporting older operating systems is just not a reasonable use of those resources. Instead, they could be used to advance the current version of Windows, which is currently Windows 11. And with everyone complaining about how bad Windows 11 is, it might be a good idea for Microsoft to dedicate more resources to Windows 11. You know, just throwing out the idea there. But with that said, I share people's frustration because of the fact that I still use Windows 10 myself. Unfortunately, I simply don't expect Microsoft to continue support indefinitely. I will, however, probably be using the ESU program myself. As of right now, there's no word on how you would sign up for the ESU program, but I'm sure that information will come out as Windows 10 end of support comes closer to being a reality. I honestly just hope that we're able to participate in the ESU program without a Microsoft account. Maybe wishful thinking, but ironically, that is where I do draw the line. Are you still running Windows 11 unactivated because the license just costs too much? Then you should check out today's sponsor, VIP-SCDKey, where you can get a valid Windows 11 license for around $20. Stop dealing with that stupid watermark and actually be able to change your desktop background with a valid license for Windows 11. Just go to the link in the description below and pick up a valid Windows 11 license key. During checkout, use the code CyberCPU for a 25% discount. Once you have your key, go to your activation settings in Windows 11 and click the link that says Change Product Key. Enter the product key you just purchased and hit Activate. Now you don't have to deal with that stupid watermark. And check out the description for deals on not just Windows, but Office too. Now, On with the video. But in other news, rumors are spreading quicker than Wi-Fi at a hacker convention about Intel's new Arc B770 as the next release in the Battle Mage lineup. The Arc B770 is rumored to be running a G31 die that could be packing up to 32 Xe cores, a 256-bit memory bus, and 16 gigs or possibly even 24 gigs of GDDR6 VRAM. You mean someone's making a graphics card that comes with a reasonable amount of VRAM? Quick, call NVIDIA and tell them to take notes. The G31 die is based on TSMC's 5nm process, an upgrade from the 6nm process of the Arc's previous generation GPUs, competing with cards like NVIDIA's RTX 4070 and AMD's RX 9070. The B770 could be a budget gamer's savior, delivering bang for the buck performance without kind of having to sell your kidney for it. But if you would have told me 10 years ago that Intel would be considered the budget king in anything, let alone GPUs, I would have recommended you take a drug test. But here we are. Well, at least here we almost are, and kind of rumored to be, I guess. Believe it or not, these rumors have been perpetuated by Intel themselves. With several tweets asking Intel to release the B770, Intel has simply responded with the cryptic "Stay tuned," indicating there's an announcement coming. But unfortunately, there's a twist to this story, because even though we do have confirmed shipping manifests of the G31 being shipped to Intel's Vietnam facility, a facility that's actually known for producing Intel's special edition GPUs, rumors suggest that the core simply isn't ready for production, and we could still be a year out from its release. But considering Intel's history with the Arc GPU, it might be a good idea for them to work out all the issues before releasing the card, rather than expecting gamers to be their beta testers. At this point though, I'm just happy that there's a third company that's trying to get GPUs onto the market, because if the B770 lands with solid specs and a price that doesn't scream second mortgage, it could really take the mid-range gaming market, leaving NVIDIA and AMD without a response. Until then, I guess we're just stuck refreshing rumor pages and praying Intel doesn't fumble this one like a bar of soap in a prison shower. Stay tuned, or not, because apparently we've got time. But in other news, Nintendo's updated user agreement for the Switch 2 is pretty extreme, promising to remotely disable consoles if mods or authorized software is detected. The revised EULA warns that modding, hacking, or subverting system protections could turn your new $450 or $500 or $600 or whatever it's going for on the scalped market right now into a very expensive paperweight. Nintendo's basically saying you don't own the console you just purchased. You're just renting a license to use it until Nintendo decides to take it away from you, which totally makes sense considering the game cartridges for the Switch 2 don't actually contain the game that you purchased. Instead, it just contains a license to use the game that must be downloaded in order to play it. Nintendo claims that this policy is intended to stop reverse engineering, pirating, or tampering with the hardware of the Switch 2. Apparently, this will not just stop you from using the console online, but will brick the console even offline. I mean, for somebody like me who's a big fan of modding, this is kind of a deal breaker. I mean, there's no secret Nintendo loves playing the Grinch, gleefully flexing their iron grip with power moves that'd make Bowser proud. I mean, they've even taken small YouTube channels down for simply showing people how to use emulation software for games that they haven't even sold for 40 years. And now they want you to know that you don't own anything you purchase. You're just borrowing it for a premium price, of course, and they'll take it away whenever they want. Fortunately, for some of these policies, they simply can't be enforced in some countries. For instance, Europe's legal protections for consumer rights won't allow Nintendo to enforce this policy. Unfortunately, that doesn't apply to everyone, and ultimately, we don't even know what the appeal process is going to be if your console happens to be falsely flagged. Or if it is bricked, can it be fixed, or do you have to buy another one regardless of whether Nintendo made a mistake or not? Supporters of the policy, because apparently there are people that are into self-flagellation, argue that this protects developers and discourages piracy. Reasonable voices, though, on the other hand, warn that it could alienate fans and stifle creativity in the modding community. Now, if you're on the fence on whether or not you should get a Switch 2, I hope this video will help with that decision. Don't give money to companies that treat you like crap. I mean, that's a pretty good thing to live by. It's too bad too, because Nintendo was my first experience in gaming, and right there, up there, is my first console that I ever owned. This is the actual NES from my childhood. It's also the last Nintendo product that I ever purchased, and it looks like it's going to be that way for a while. But that's all I got for you today. If you stuck with me this long, then you'd probably like one of these videos. But as always, you guys have a great day. And don't buy a Switch 2. Like I said, don't give money to companies that hate you. Why would you do that? I don't know.